Hey, what's going on, Life Agents? Hey, Leon Thomas here. And in this video, I'm gonna be sharing with you exactly the complete telesales blueprint, right? So I'm gonna be covering the pros and the cons of telesales and how you can actually set yourself up to maximize your results when selling with telesales, whether it be over the phone or over Zoom, right? So if you are new to the life insurance industry and you're ready to make that transition, this video is for you. Now, before we dive into today's video, if you're looking at joining the life insurance industry or you're new and you want fresh exclusive leads on a consistent basis, you want the highest comp in the industry, you want those day one renewals, you don't want to be a captive agent, and you want the best training in the industry, hands down, you can actually click on the link somewhere above this video and you can schedule a quick strategy call. Either myself or someone from our team will reach out to you, right? So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into today's video, right? So what we're going to cover here is just about 4 or 5 things that I believe that you need to keep in mind as you approach telesales. So if you haven't been doing telesales, that's okay. But before I do, I kind of dive into that, I want to make a quick disclaimer. If you are like in the industry right now and you haven't ran, I would say at least 50 to 100 in-home appointments, I think it's probably better that you do that first, okay? Now, if you've been writing a lot of business and you're comfortable now, you kind of found your posture in the home, you're getting fluent with it, with your delivery, and you're writing consistently, then I would say it's okay to move forward. But I highly recommend that you at least starting in home first. The reason why is because you're gonna be able to make a lot more mistakes in the home than you will be over the phone. And what I mean by that is there are things that you can do in the home that you can get away with where the homeowners, the clients aren't gonna necessarily kick you out, right? But if you're on the phone and you make some of those same mistakes, they might get hung up on, all right? So what I want you to do is keep in mind that the telesales platform is for agents that are at least writing on a consistent basis. It doesn't mean you have to have been doing this for 6 months to a year, but if you've been doing this for 60, 90 days maybe, and you're comfortable doing it, and you've been in several homes and you're doing it on a daily, weekly basis, then I would say, yeah, you can transition and it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But I just want you to keep those things in mind, right? So, and if you're doing those things, then what I'm about to share with you is going to make a lot more sense, right? So, number one, I think the biggest challenge for people is with telesales is the mindset, right? I know, unfortunately, sometimes we think that, because we're not getting in homes, we're not getting in our cars and driving around the city or around our county or around the state, that it's going to be easier, right? And I can't say this enough, that it's going to be work still, but it will be worth it, right? With the right things in place and with the right structure in place, right? So the first thing we're going to talk about here is structure, right? And what I mean by structure is you guys have to understand that, you are a business owner now, right? And I know a lot of times, most of us, we come from backgrounds where we're working at 9 to 5, which was someone's business, right? Where we had structure. Unfortunately, what ends up happening for a lot of people is they come into entrepreneurship and specifically, life insurance, and they lack structure. You have to be disciplined with your timing, with your schedule and your time, right? Meaning, whichever days of the week that you're going to run business or you're going to do business, and or whichever hours on those days you're going to work, you need to make sure that you're disciplined with your schedule. If not, your business is going to be high ebb and high flow, right? It'll be like a feast or famine business, and no one wants to run their business that way, right? I know, at least I don't, right? And so I'm sure you don't want to do that either, right? So you want to make sure you have to have structure, right? If you can go to an office space somewhere local in your city, go there. But if you can't, I get it. You stay home, you work in your office, and you do what you got to do. I get it. But if you can go to an office space where you can work, where you can completely 100% focus on just helping families and doing the business, then it's probably going to put you in a better position mentally so you can actually work, right? So structure just means pretty much, you have that daily structure that you're going to follow no matter what, right? So let's go and dive into the next one. The next one here, and you probably know this already, is lead flow, right? Lead flow is going to be very important, right? And that doesn't matter whether you're online or offline, but if you're going to be running business through telesales, you're going to actually have to have more leads than you can handle. And that's going to be a good thing for you. What I mean by that is, a lot of times, most people that are struggling in this business, aside of low comp, is because they don't really just have enough people to talk to. Right? They don't have enough lead flow coming in. They're not having enough conversations within a day so they can actually write the policies that they want so they can hit their sales goals, right? And so lead flow equals cash flow, right? So no lead flow is no cash flow, okay? So you have to keep in mind that you are going to need to make sure that you have multiple lead vendors that are actually generating leads for you on your behalf, so that you actually have people to literally call or that are booking on your calendar on a daily basis, right? If you do not have leads coming in your business, you're gonna be literally in a nonprofit right in the middle of your home, right? So I don't want you to be in a nonprofit in the middle of your home, right? So you wanna make sure that you have lead flow. So you have to invest into your business, right? I know typically for our agents, for every $100 that they invest, they make about $1,000 plus, right? Because they get paid top comp. But if you don't have the leads, then it's not gonna work, right? You don't wanna be sitting in your home, running out of people to talk to on a daily basis. You want to have more people than you can actually talk to on a daily basis, because that means you have inventory. And you have to look at your business as like a brick and mortar. I always tell people, look at your business like a brick and mortar. Think about your local brick and mortar stores. I know we got stores all around us, right? And just imagine if Safeway, for example, was Safeway, but they didn't have, nothing on the shelf, right? They didn't have, apple juice, orange juice. They didn't have, fruits and grapes and meat and cereal and milk and all those things, right? If they didn't have those things, then no one could buy anything, right? And so that's their inventory. When you are investing into leads, that is literally your inventory, right? That is your opportunity to sell something. So you have to keep in mind that you have to have a consistent lead flow, right? You probably should be spending, I would say, at least $1,000 to $2,000 a week on leads, right? And the next thing I want to get to, which is pretty much connected to this one, is to diversify, okay? Diversify lead flow, right? What I mean by that is you never want to marry one lead vendor, right? Too many times agents fall in love with one lead vendor. What I mean is you want to have multiple lead vendors so that you can actually have leads coming from all over the place, right? From 2 or 3, maybe 4 or 5, as you begin to make money and you can invest. But obviously you're going to start with one, and then as you make money, you want to reinvest that back into your business so that you can literally diversify. And the way that I look at it like this is, I love fishing, so I'll use fishing as an example, but I know here in California, about several years ago, they started like a 2-pole limit, right? Before you can only have 1 fishing pole, now you can have 2. Well, think about it as if, you got 2 poles in the water versus 1. How much more are you going to increase your chances of actually catching a fish, right? And that's how you have to look at leads and lead vendors, right? You want to have as many poles in the water, if you will, as possible, so you can increase your chances of selling in this case, right? Writing policies, so that way you're not just sitting around, suffering because you don't have enough people to talk to, right? So never marry a lead vendor. Start with one, obviously, and then begin to diversify so you can actually have, more leads than you can actually handle, because that's not a bad problem to have. Most agents don't have enough leads, and that's why they suffer. That's why their business isn't really thriving. They don't write enough business. They don't hit their sales goals, and they struggle, okay? So you want to diversify your lead flow, okay? Number 3 is you want to make sure that your leads are coming into a CRM. Now, not the typical CRMs that most companies provide. This is a CRM that we're talking about that's going to give you text follow-up, email follow-up, and that also allows you to literally call and communicate with the leads instantly, right? And so most of the lead vendors that are out there today, they're beginning to transition into the online marketing where you got the automation, all that stuff in place. But just be sure that whoever you're going with as far as the lead vendor, that you have that set in place. And the reason why is because you got to keep in mind that these people are filling out forms all day, every day on the internet. You're not the only lead. Even though it's exclusive to you, just keep in mind that these people are filling out forms all over the internet. So you're not the only agent that's going to be calling them. And it doesn't matter where you're at. Yes, they're fresh and exclusive to you, but you want to make sure that you can actually market to them right when they become a lead, right? Meaning as soon as they become a lead, boom, they should be getting a text message. They should be getting an email, right? And you want to make sure that you're actually getting to them as fast as you possibly can, okay? So very important there, right? You want to make sure, like I said, you have all the text, email marketing set up, and most of our clients, our agents have this set up because we actually walk them through the process, so we help them set it up once they get going, okay? So all this stuff is set up in place if you're actually with our agency. But I want you to make sure that you know that you have this stuff in place, right? The reason why is because you don't want any of your leads to fall through the cracks. You want to maximize your leads so that you can actually obviously maximize your income, right? So that leads me to number 4, which is the follow-up. Right? All of the automation is going to do the follow-up for you, but you also need to be calling the leads, right? Now, here's just an old school marketing tip that's never changed, will never change. 5% of the people that become leads are ready to buy today, right? The other 95% are 30 to 60, sometimes 90 days out from actually buying, right? And so when you are paying for these leads, you're actually building a list, right? Now, the money and the power is in your list, but the fortune is in the follow-up. And this is literally like the Bible of online marketing. Never forget it, because this will never change, okay? So your job as an agent is to have these leads come into your CRM, have a strong follow-up sequence, okay? And make sure that you actually maximize the 5% of the leads that are ready to buy today. Now, most agents don't have this stuff set up, and so they spend money on leads, but they don't follow up with the other 95%. Sometimes they barely make only 2 to 3%, commissions or sales off of these clients, but because they don't have the follow-up sequence in place, they miss out on the other 95%, which is where the fortune is. Now, if you're getting top comp and you're really attacking the 5%, you're gonna still make a lot of money, right? So I promise you that. But most of the time, agents are missing out on the other 95%, and that's because they don't have a strong follow-up game. They don't work their leads, right? The automation and follow-up helps you begin working your leads. And when I mean work your leads, I mean, obviously it's texting them, it's emailing, and it's calling them, it's communicating with them, scheduling a call or calling to close them, right? And so you want to make sure that you have these things in place so that you can, number one, your first primary goal is to attack the 5%, right? The other 95%, it's all going to come through automation and follow-up, right? So just keep that in mind. Which leads me to number 5. Number 5 is huge, okay? The thing about this is what you're going to have to learn to do is you're going to have to call, I believe the best thing, to close, okay? Call to close. So whenever you're calling these leads, whether it's the 5% or the 95%, you're literally calling to close. If you want to maximize your results as a telesales agent, you want to make sure that you're literally calling to close. And the reason why is because you don't want to really stack your calendar with a bunch of booked appointments. Now, you're going to get people that will naturally book appointments, which is fine, right? But your goal with telesales literally is to call to close. In some cases, you're going to have to book appointments. Why? Because maybe when you call them, they're on a lunch break. Maybe when you call them, they're like, they've got a pre-engagement, something they're already doing. And you'll just have to. I always encourage all of our agents to, push a little bit to try to get that sale today. And then if not, the last resort is to just book a call, preferably within like 24 to 48 hours. I try not to do it any further out than that because you're going to decrease your show up rate, right? But you want to make sure that you're actually calling to close. And if you do not know how to call to close, we have a ton of training on actually how you do it in a non-salesy way so you can actually write business today, right? Because none of us really wants to get into the business of, calling people that we're on the phone with and just stacking appointments for down the road, right? It's no different than being offline where I'm going to a home and, they're like, come back. I'm like, no, I'm already here. Let's just get this thing done now. It only takes like 10 to 15, 20 minutes, maybe, right? Maximum, I would say. And so I take that same approach online. I'm literally going to call to close, right? So I hope you got a ton of value from this video. If you have, drop them in the comments. Let me know, of course. I pretty much man the comments here myself, right? So I hope you guys got some value from this. Like I said, take this as an example, of course. This is literally just the basic structure of telesales. Like I said, we'll be getting more so into the how-to when we're on the phone later. But I want to give you guys a basic structure on what you need to be thinking about and how you actually approach the telesales platform, right? So it does not matter where you're in the country, of course, where you're marketing. This is really simply the simple blueprint that you should follow. And if you follow this blueprint, you can set yourself up for success. So with that being said, of course, I hope you guys got a ton of value from this video. Of course, if you have, let me know in the comments. And of course, until next time, I'll see you on the internet. Take care. Bye for now.